Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I'm just sitting here with some thoughts and I thought I'd just share them. I am sitting in this really cool window of like being able to observe myself walking through things, witnessing myself behaving the way that I am or through actions. I think it takes a lot of self-awareness for a person to be able to do that with themselves. And my self-awareness has been building more and more, over the last couple of years, especially, but being in this space of being able to like witness myself mid feelings, mid emotions is pretty great, honestly, on one hand. On the other, it's almost like being stuck on a train sometimes. But getting to witness myself over the last, we're in November now. So since the beginning of October, since 6 weeks now, whatever it's been a journey, and I am, I guess, somewhat shocked by some of the response that I'm seeing. And I just want to take a second to point a couple things out to people. If someone has changed their behavior, but they have not acknowledged or addressed what they have done to you specifically, or there has been no making of amends, no apology, that person didn't actually change. They just changed so much that you could notice enough of a shift. They didn't change. If someone shows back up in your life after a long period of time of silence, it just shows up out of nowhere and they seem like they are different and people are like, oh, they've changed, forgiveness, and this is the Bible. Check their actions. Actions speak louder than words. Jesus said this all over the place. He said, be doers of the word and not hearers only. There's a lot of hearers. And I'm watching the hearers because y'all are watching me. And I can feel the watching. I can feel people observing. I can see the views going up. But watching the amount of people that are choosing ignorance anyways because it is safer, watching the amount of people that are still choosing to engage with the abusers and the enablers, including the people that I have called by name without asking any questions, without looking for anything further. I had someone call me last week because Billy Sampson wanted a mediated phone call with me, the child who told him about all of the abuse as a kid and as an adult. And now that I'm a grown up and can use my words, I'm a problem. I'm not acting like Jesus. I'm not being a Christian because I'm speaking out in truth, my truth. I'm not spreading rumors. I'm not spreading lies. I'm speaking my truth. And I've been dealing with so much anger. I know the anger is there to protect me, and the anger has a lot of valid reasons for being there, honestly. I have a lot of valid reasons to be very angry right now. But it's exhausting, right? And so I'm able to feel my feelings, observe them, do what I need to do to move through them. But part of me moving through it is bringing awareness to all of the people that are going to watch this or either watching it now. I don't mind not having engagement. I really, really don't. But what really makes me sick to my stomach as a survivor and as someone who likes helping and who just wants to help other people, watching people choose ignorance because it is safer, watching people choose ignorance because that's what they've been taught for generations and generations, watching people choose to sit there and be quiet and still support the missionaries. I'm getting warnings from people that are now filling in the pulpits of my dad's old church, and the leaders at the church are still ignoring it. Still. You can only address things as much as you are willing to, and I understand that. But if you are in a place of power, if you are a pastor, if you are a deacon, if you're a missionary, especially, that you don't have one specific church that you account to, because you don't, read your Bible. Check your feelings. This isn't about me. This isn't about me at all. This is about thousands of millions of other people that have been hurt in the name of Jesus, in the name of the churches. This is why I speak out. Because at the end of the day, I know it wasn't God who hurt me. But it was missionaries, and it was pastors, and it was my parents, and it was the other adults that were around me that didn't know what to do because the spiritual leaders around them were not encouraging truth and authenticity like Jesus did. I really am I am choosing to stay in my faith for the people that I'm just hurt by, not because they're not listening. They're all listening to me. They're hearing me. The word is spreading, and I know it's spreading. It is hurting me to watch people still choose ignorance. It really, really is. And at the end of the day, I didn't expect some empire to blow up. I'm one single person. But I know I am not the only person that has gone through these abuses. I know for a fact that I'm not the only person that has been swept under the rug through these people and their ministries. And it is appalling to me. And so angering watching these people in the name of Jesus keep their mouths shut and say, oh, well, they changed. Just because a person gets on a medication does not mean that they have changed. They might have changed one single behavior to make towards improvement, like progress, okay? But one day of a lifestyle change does not mean that person has changed. One moment of a pastor saying, oh, whoops, I'm sorry, doesn't mean that person has changed. One moment of that person saying, oh, well, I stepped 5 feet further. I'm further away from the mess anymore, so I'm not associated anymore, and I've changed. No, that does not mean they have changed. They have only changed their behaviors so the people observing them no longer feel that it's dangerous. I choose to stay in peace for myself. And that's why I'm speaking. I had no intentions of jumping on and doing a live today. But I'm sitting here being peaceful with my kids and enjoying being in my body and understanding what a safe nervous system feels like. And all I can think about and feel pain for is the millions of people that are sitting in churches across the United States right now, not feeling safe in their bodies on any degree and not having any idea. Not having any idea. That's not my job to go fix. I'm just going to share my journey. But my journey is speaking in truth. Even when it is hard. My journey is speaking in truth when I have pastors and people that are coming after me now as a grown adult. If you wanted to talk to me before, you should have listened to me as a kid. You should have listened to me in my early 20s. I'm not going to waste my breath with people that won't listen. But I am going to keep speaking the truth. I am. And this is way bigger than just the religious circles. There's a lot of people around me here in Greenville that have gotten squirmy because I've decided to start talking about what's professionally happened to me as the music mom. Which is a whole nother freaking mess of people that I had no intentions of getting involved with like this or getting hurt by. If you don't want to be held accountable, then don't, or like if you don't want your stuff coming up, then don't do the stuff. I don't know what to tell you. Don't do the stuff. Because it is not a sin. It is not bad. It is not icky to talk about the bad things you have been through. That has been the conception of the United States, at least for a very long time, is to just put on a smile, fake it till you make it, and push through. Guys, that's bullshit. And it's why so much of us are sitting in pain right now. Because politicians and everybody else, they fake it till they make it, sweep everything under the rug. Everything. And all of us people sitting here in our bodies and nervous systems and all of the things that we have going on, God himself can't even come down and just perfect that in a miracle. Okay? That's not realistic. That's not how faith works. Faith without action is just beliefs that are going to get you nowhere. Genuinely. Faith without actually walking by faith and just sitting here. Like if I were to just stay in that little corner of the church my entire life and just say, okay, God, I'm going to keep trusting you. I'm going to keep trusting you. I'm going to keep trusting you. Guys, I would still be there. I would still be there. Faith without action, you're not growing your faith. The Bible talks about faith, the grain of a mustard seed. And it is one thing to have it. It really is. But if you have that seed and you just hold it inside you and you don't actually move and let your body feel that faith, let your brain understand that faith and get away from the people that don't agree with it, or even if you just don't understand how they're preaching, like you don't have to go to a church to hear from Jesus. You don't have to attend every Sunday service, every Wednesday night, every Sunday night. Like you don't have to be there ever at all. You can meet him out in the open, where I'm at right now, walking around outside. This is where I have met more Jesus than anywhere else in my life. But the amount of people that I love, that I care about so deeply that are still sitting in these congregations being hurt because it's safer. Congregations that are still supporting Billy Sampson openly and willingly, even, and it's not about them knowing me. How many other people in your church have gone to Billy for help? That said nothing. How many people in your congregations went to Eddie Hefner for help? And Eddie Hefner did nothing. I have no problem naming their names. I really, really don't. If you want to come after me, come after me. You want a phone call, let's have a phone call. I'm not going to go running around like a teenager with mediated phone calls. I'm 30 years old. I have done my work, and if you're afraid of my anger, it's because you put it there. It is because you put it there, and you are not willing to have a conversation with me about it. I'm allowed to protect myself, and I'm allowed to protect the people I care about. I was raised as a particular way that set me up to care for a lot more than just me. And I'm not sorry for that. I'm not sorry for that. I have done my work around my codependency. I do not feel it is my obligation to go save people or to win them to Christ. But I am going to share my testimony. And my testimony has a lot of dark stuff. And I am not ashamed of that. I did not do things to cause a lot of these things to happen to me. I just existed. But the fact that I have a voice and I'm willing to use it, that's my healing journey. But what about all the other people that are still too afraid to use theirs? Are we supposed to just let them sit by and struggle? Are the pastors supposed to just continue saying, well, if they don't come to me, I can't address it? That sounds like a real leader. Oh yeah, looking at the people struggling and then not going to them and saying, hey, are you okay? Can I check on you? Get your head out of the frickin' sand. Wake up, church. And I have a good church down here that I attend. So I know church from a biblical, actual, healthy perspective. But Jesus didn't even say to go and build that. And you guys are witnessing me in the moment because there was really no point to this. These are just thoughts. These are just freaking thoughts. But like, as a survivor and someone who is reclaiming my voice and is feeling more and more at peace and more in my body by the day, okay? By the day, just by speaking this stuff out. I got paused because I was walking around outside. It's just not right. And it's really hard to sit here actively walking through this trauma and through this survival and trying to grow from it and watching people choose to stick their heads in the sand. Watching churches and congregations that I know these people either not speaking about it at all or pushing their heads down further. I didn't expect to go blow this all up myself. I'm not trying to blow up anything. I'm trying to bring light to situations that have been dark for a really, really long time. But watching the people that I love more than anything else, choosing to stay in ignorance, choosing to have contact with enablers and other abusers, whether it's my dad and Billy or other people, because this is so much bigger than those two men. And I could name a whole lot of other names right now. I did in some of the other videos. I just don't understand. I know I'm not the only one with these experiences. I know I am not. Where are you all at? Where are the people that have been struggling? Where are the people that have experienced these things? Because I know I'm not the only one. I'm hearing the stories about all the other people. Some of them are coming to me. Where are your friends? Why are they not advocating to the pastors in these churches for you guys? Like, that is not a healthy church congregation. That is not how Jesus would have wanted this run. If you have someone saying that you better respect me or there's the door, that is not Jesus. That's not saying what would Jesus do. I cannot tell you how many congregation members my father ran out of his two churches by saying, if you don't agree with me, there's the door. And can I tell you, I'm pretty sure some of the people that would have those kinds of conversations easily, and the pastors that would love to just be like, there's the door, are a lot of the types of churches that, like my dad's church, that support Billy Sampson, and those kinds of ministries where there's just money being thrown and no accountability anywhere. And yes, I'm throwing his name out a lot, but that's because with great power comes great responsibility. If you want to stand on that platform, then you're going to be an example. Hi, I was an example my whole life, unwillingly, by no choice of my own, and was on the platforms. If you are on platforms, especially traveling the country of the United States right now as a missionary for Jesus, and there is no church that holds you accountable, there is no congregation that you have to say, oh yeah, this is where we spent our money this year. This is where we did this. You don't even have to give it to a board. That is not healthy. That is not Jesus. That is manipulation and people looking for money and ways to make themselves feel better. They might think it's Jesus. They think it's Jesus because it's been taught that way for generations and generations and generations. But that is not Jesus. Anywhere, in any way, shape, or form. Jesus didn't say, ignore the little children. Jesus didn't say, don't listen to their pleas when they come to you. Jesus said, suffer the little children. God didn't send a warrior. He sent a baby. He sent a baby. So I get that I look completely unleashed. I get that I probably look unhinged, angry. I am for my children, for their cousins, for our whole family. But even bigger than that, I'm even angrier because I'm seeing the depth of how many people could have helped us and chose not to. And that list is very long. It's exhausting trying to come back to it. But Billy, for me, is someone that's been on that list for a long ass time. He's been someone that I've been calling my whole life. throughout it, all the time. So no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to waste time as a 30-year-old grown adult now trying to rehash this with you. This is way bigger than that. Don't get a hold of third parties for mediated phone calls. I've tried having conversations with you face to face. And other pastors that may see this. I asked people to share that video about Billy Sampson very specifically for a reason. Because he does not account to anyone as a missionary. My dad at least had a church congregation to account to. So once they found out the truth, they could hold him accountable. But if this is the kind of Jesus that you follow, it is not the Jesus of the Bible. It is not the Jesus of the Bible, and we don't have to agree on all the theology in that book. We don't have to agree on all the things that I don't necessarily see eye to eye with. But at the end of the day, if you're asking yourself, what would Jesus do? And then you have to put a comma, but, or well, or that's not Jesus then. That's not Jesus. Go back to the words in red. Go back to the words in red. Because I cannot tell you how many times a day I look at myself in the mirror and ask, what would Jesus do? Down to when I am handling my children because I'm irritated and frustrated with them. And 2 of them are standing in here right now listening to this. Jesus is not, you listen to my rules or you go. Jesus is not, give me your money so that I can go help other people. Jesus took bread and fed 2,000 people with it, or 5,000 people with 5 loaves and 2 fishes. Right? That's in the Bible. He didn't ask people for that. He went and got it himself. His lunch, the disciples' lunch, and fed 5,000 people? Jesus didn't say, gimme. One of the best, absolute best pastors that I know is actually my best friend's husband, and he pastors a church in Indiana. And last I heard, he does not get a paycheck from his church. He has his own secular job that he works and provides for himself. And being a pastor is like a civil duty for him. He just is showing up out of the goodness of his heart. Paul was a tent maker, for crying out loud. If that is how you know Jesus, that's not Jesus. And I'm going to keep speaking my truth because of kids like this. Yes, mine. And all of the other kids that are coming after mine. All the other generations that are to come. If you want to know Jesus, then go meet him for yourself. Don't keep standing there listening to people that are just sweeping things under the rug or saying they've changed because they love you enough and just need you in their lives. You as a person are worth having someone change their behaviors for. Jesus would not want you to stand by and continue getting abused or hurt, all in the name of love. That is not love. That is a really codependent, abusive version of love that I'm currently still unraveling, and so are my kids and a lot of the people around me. But if it is ever going to change, we have to talk about it, guys. Like, we have to use our mouths and talk about it. Get over the fear of what is holding on. Like, that is old stuff. Sorry, Levi. You know what finally got me able to talk? The realization that I am 30 years old and these men are nowhere near me. They have nothing that they can take from me, well, except my car, but they took that already. The church already did that. And it wasn't even the church. I was trying to do right by the congregation and by the people that I knew. So I willingly took my car back. But the only reason I was able to get that vehicle was because I had financed it through my dad. Because I'm a single mom and my credit is shot. And it helped. It helped a lot of things. But the things that do not help is the silence. The things now, hang on, Levi. The things now that will help is not silence on anyone's part. Congregations across Indiana and probably the states right now are hurting. Outside of just my father and his decisions. For all of their own reasons. When are you guys going to wake up and stop acting like all the other congregations like this? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Jesus wants you to grow and heal. But you can only heal as much as you understand. And if you only understand Jesus to the level that the Baptists have given you, you don't really know him. You know one picture of him. And I encourage you on so many levels to pick your Bible up and look for yourself. Go back to the New Testament, because for the longest time, I could only stay in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and the words in red, because everything else was too triggering. And it didn't make sense. I couldn't understand it. Go back to those words in red, because that's where I've been at for 5 years. And you will be amazed to see where Jesus is at all over the place, outside in the real world, outside of the churches. I'm not saying don't go to church. I absolutely love that I have found a great community down here to attend with when my body is up for it. But before, when I went, it just felt good in my body. It felt really familiar and emotional, because that's what it is. It's music. It's a concert in a lot of ways. And for a lot of missionaries that I know that go around in circles preaching the same sermons and singing the same songs over and over and over again, that is exactly what it is. It's a concert. But if you are a member, if you are a participant, you don't have to subject to that, guys. That doesn't have to be your relationship with Jesus. And yes, I felt him in the church too for myself. It's how I left and knew he was real. But it's not because I found him in those churches. It's not because I found him in those pews. Those taught me the ABCs of who they thought Jesus was. There's a lot more to Jesus that is not in that book. It's because he's everywhere. He's all over the freaking planet. Go spend some time with people that don't act like you and realize, holy shit, there's Jesus. And yes, I just cursed. Because it's a word that just only has as much meaning as you give to it. Jesus spoke out of the ass of a donkey, the butt of a donkey, or no, he used the mouth of an ass. That's what it was. He used the mouth of an ass to speak his words. And somewhere in the New Testament, like they want to use the word, like it's a word, okay? It is a word. Context matters, and I can't tell you how much pain and hurt I have been through the good words of the Bible that have hurt me way more than any curse word that ever came out of my mouth or anybody else's. So don't jump on me for that. If you want to know who Jesus is, go out and find him for yourself. Because that peace that passes all understanding didn't happen the 5 or 6 or 7 times I said the sinner's prayer. Because I didn't believe it, or I didn't know if I was actually okay enough or not. I didn't know if I meant it enough. Jesus never said to go say a prayer. He said, believe in me and follow. Believe in me and follow. That's what I live my life doing. Believing in the words of Jesus and following. Studying to show myself approved, because context matters. And when there's history all over literally the world that has context of the Bible and who Jesus is, but we refuse to look at it because it's the inspired, inerrant word of God. That is so much ignorance. That is so much ignorance. And I'm going to jump off this live and continue my day on with my kids, and I'm going to be happy. I am choosing happiness. But it is hard to choose happiness. It's not hard. It's painful, because 2 things can be true. I can be happy and still be in pain at the same time. And it is painful to watch people that I know and love and care about so much still choose ignorance, still choose friendships, still choose to stay in the middle because it's easier and less messy. Jesus didn't pick the easy route. Ever. If Jesus picked the easy route, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation right now. Hard things don't get easier because you avoid them. Hard things just get harder. I literally just told my youngest I think it was this morning that I told Levi that your feelings are like farts. And when you hold them in, they get all compiled and it hurts. I'm so serious. I told Emma, one of my twins, last week, she was having a meltdown over doing something difficult. And I looked at her and I said, baby, I love you and I know this is hard. But waiting is not going to make it easier. Now, I'm not saying push yourself, or if you're not ready, that's one thing. But if the only thing holding you back is fear, that's not Jesus. For God hath not given me a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. That's the Bible that I hold on to. Be afraid and do it anyways. Be afraid and use your voice anyways. Be afraid and have that conversation anyways. Be afraid and tell your story anyways. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be pretty. Authenticity is where it's at. That's what Jesus was. He met people where they were, exactly where they were, not where they were pretending to be. Jesus could see through that. I'm not going to keep performing on a mask for myself and the people around me. I stopped doing that a couple of years ago. Actually, I wish sometimes I could pull the masks back out, but now I don't wish I could pull them back out. I'm grateful that I had them so that they could teach me in hindsight, I can be grateful because those masks got me through survival. But sitting where I am now and having gone through the healing that I've gone through and continuing to go through and will continue to go through, I am begging you guys to speak up and use your voices. I am begging you. Because even what I'm dealing with professionally right now, multiple stories have come out about this person that really manipulated the heck out of me. Nobody's talking about any of it. And some of it happened before me, some of it happened after, and I get that it's healthier for some people to close their mouths and walk away. I understand. I'm not one of those people. It is not healthier for me all the time to close my mouth and walk away. Sometimes it is, and there's been a long part of my life that was the case. That is not the case anymore. Because if I sit in silence, I get to know that I'm willingly not giving a warning to people that could at least heed it. And I can't change people's minds, but I can speak the truth. Somebody spoke the truth to me at one point in time, and it's why I got out of those church congregations. I didn't get out right away, but I had someone that was willing to help me as a teenager that just showed up. And then when I was an adult, just showed up again and showed me who Jesus was. They didn't just show up. They didn't disappear. Like, they've been in my life. It's actually one of my family members, and it's someone that I will probably be talking a lot more about in that whole story. But like, that is what introduced me to Jesus and the real Jesus. And that's also what introduced me to recognizing, hey, I need to wake up. Somebody had to say something to me to wake me up. And I will die on the hill that I will be the person to say something. Even if it only wakes one other person up, gets one or two other people out of their abusive situations, encourages one or two other people to use their voices for the betterment of humanity. Because that's what Jesus encourages us to do. Did you know in the Bible, when there's a passage in, I think it's in Luke, was where I read it. It was Luke or Matthew. I've been going through both of those a lot lately. But the disciples are walking around with Jesus, and they notice somebody else performing a miracle that is not attached to their little circle of people, right? And I don't even remember who the disciple was, but they start questioning Jesus about this other person performing miracles, but it not being through the name of Christ. And Jesus basically said, mind your business. He literally said, like, leave them on their way, continue on ours. That was what Jesus said. And I understand that there's lots of things that can be argued all over the place in the Bible, all over, around the theologies and the witchcraft and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, that book was not penned by some spirit in the clouds. That book was penned by humans. Humans that went through their own human experiences, had their own human feelings and their own human emotions, just like I have, just like my kids have, and just like everybody else in that Bible, including Jesus. Because he talks over and over again about how the things that we are going through, that we will go through, he understands. It's because he walked through them to some degree, or understood and could relate emotionally, right? But like, Jesus had the feelings too. The Bible says be angry and sin not. It doesn't say don't be angry. It says be angry and sin not. There is no sin coming from me at all. If what I am saying hurts your ministry, sorry, I guess you built it on sand. You didn't build it on rocks. Hang on, Levi. You've been with me all day, bud. Hang on. I haven't let my kids be around when I've recorded or videotaped anything up to this point. For a lot of reasons that I'm not going to say right now, because as grown-ups, you guys will get it, right? Not everything is for little ears. But I do have a motto in my house that we show our emotions, that we talk about how things are, even if it's really hard. And the amount of growth that has happened in my family, there's Tucker. I've got my boys sitting in here with me right now. The amount of growth that has happened in my family, just the 5 of us, in the last 4 years since we've chosen to face the hard things, face our hard feelings, have the hard conversations. Our family is closer. And even amidst craziness right now, absolute insanity, their dad being MIA and grandpa now have gone off the rails, we are still stable. We are handling our dysregulation as a family. We are staying together because that's what you do. But if you don't have any authenticity or any way to communicate or any way to talk about the hard things, you don't stay together as a family. And ask me how close I am with the other 5 people in my immediate family. Ask me how often I talk to all of my siblings and my parents. It doesn't happen very often. And can I tell you, we didn't have a lot of hard conversations. We had a lot of hard conversations. They weren't healthy, hard conversations, though. They were really just hard. I speak out because I care about my kids. But I speak out because I care about way more than just the 5 of us. And I'm going to continue to. And I am really encouraging you, if you have gone through abuse in your church, you don't even have to mess it. It's not even about me. I don't care if you know Billy Sampson. I don't care if you know Eddie Hefner or not. It is not about those names. Because that's what seemed to happen. People heard names and that's what spread. That's why more stuff started coming up, but nobody wanted to actually address the people with those names. No. They just want to talk about it. And I knew that was going to happen. I know how church congregations oftentimes work and how gossip spreads like crazy. So there was 2 sides to that, and I understood that. But on the flip side, I am shocked by the amount of people keeping their mouths shut. They only have power when you give them power. And your silence is power for them. There are times that your silence might be strength for you. But the majority of the time, at least from my experience, silence in women especially is because their power has been taken from them. Take it back. Take it back. Jesus talks about how the kingdom of heaven is coming here and how we have more power in us than he even had in him. Take your power back. Walk out, flip tables, do whatever the hell you have to do. But take your power back, guys. Jesus didn't ask for perfect. Jesus asked for us to believe in him and to follow what he taught. Not the pastor's teachings. Have a good day, guys. Think about it.